are you?
Severance, Season 1, Episode 1. That feeling when you wake up on the conference table at work? I know a little bit about the premise of the show. I'm guessing this is an experiment. This has got to be incredibly disorienting and embarrassing. Yeah, they set this up. They put the speaker on the table.
Hello?
Hi. Good morning. But why do they put her on the table?
Hi there. You on the table? I wonder if you'd mind taking a brief survey.
Sure. Why not? Whatever. Yeah.
Who's speaking?
Waking up in a place that you don't know how you got there is bizarre. And you wonder how many things you did wrong to get to this point. All the mistakes you made that you can't remember.
Open the door!
I think you got to take the survey.
I'd be just thrilled to chat once we've run the survey.
It's incredibly
Shall
hostile,
we begin
but
with question 1?
masked with friendliness.
I'm not taking your survey.
Let's just take it. It's only 5 questions. Who are you? I think that's question 1.
Here.
You're not listening. You gotta take the survey. Escape the conference room.
Hey!
Why don't you just jiggle it harder?
Let me out!
For real though, this is odd and terrifying. So how about that survey? She'll tire herself out in a minute.
Hello.
5 questions.
It's a trained professional.
5 questions.
What do I get at the end?
Depends on your answers.
Oh, that's ominous.
Who are you?
That's the first question.
First name will do.
Oh, you don't remember.
What is this?
Okay. Unknown.
Oh yeah, this is panic-inducing.
I don't know.
Unknown. Question 3. Please name any U.S. state.
Oh yeah, how deep does it go?
Fuck.
First that comes to mind.
I don't know. Delaware.
Okay.
To the best of your memory, what is or was the color of your mother's eyes?
I think the first question kind of answers most of it. What does that feel like? I know this is a real thing too. I don't know much about it, but I know that people who've gone through accidents wake up with only pieces of their memory intact, maybe like functional memory of the world, but people and events, etc. are gone. It's hard to imagine what that's like. I'm guessing this is an experiment trying to get at what is what in memory so that they can eliminate parts of memory that are undesirable, like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. The assumption being that you can isolate for parts of yourself, like you can just remove the bad and keep the good, where in reality I imagine there's probably such a huge interplay that you don't realize a lot of the good is contingent on the bad, among many other ethical and logistical concerns.
Okay, what's happening?
Yeah, I think...
Unknown. So that's unknown, Delaware, unknown.
Yeah, that's an L. If all you can remember is Delaware. It's also highly likely possible that
perfect score.
she volunteered for this. What? I guess that was the point. Severance. You done gone and monkeyed around with people's brains. Oh, it's Adam Scott? Is that his name? I want to forget her. Next thing you know, you're on the train platform at, damn, where was it? Montauk. You're at the beach for some reason. This is such an interesting character introduction too. Just a dude sobbing in his car. I finally watch a non-anime show. This is what I get. A man in his car crying. Yeah, just, the before work, in the car cry. Your daily ritual.
Are you ready for Mr. Scout?
Mr. Scout. Adam Scout. Looks like the statue of a man who had a great, kind vision, but it went horribly wrong. Like John Hammond in Jurassic Park. He just wanted to build roller coasters at an amusement park. Oh, right, that's the point, right? They're segmented. Yeah, I've kind of been spoiled on the central premise. They tune out for work. No more sadness. No more sad boy today. Until we get back in the car. Why is it all wet? Why do I have a wet tissue in my pocket? Oh, he looks, maybe this isn't so bad. He looks better. He looks brighter, more confident. See, here I thought it was going to be like escaping the work part of it, because work sucks. But actually, I guess for some people it'll be the opposite, right? You'd be happy to escape your real life. Just depends on how things are going, I guess. Some people are going to be caught in hell because both suck, from one hell to another. But even then, the compartmentalization would be okay, or might feel good, because if you don't have that, you're just dealing with 2 hells all at once simultaneously. Well, we're really seeing his whole early morning ritual. This walking sequence.
You're breathing shitty.
Different name.
If he doesn't process today, they won't know until Tuesday of next week. It's typical Lumon bullshit.
Careful, guy.
Hi, kids.
Oh, it's John Turturro. I actually was in a movie with him. Or maybe in this movie his name is John Turturro. It's so weird because I've been making videos for a long time, but this is the first time ever I could actually recognize the actors or even see the actors. John Turturro, at least when I knew him a long time ago, really, really great guy. I played his son and he was extremely nice to me.
No Petey?
We think he's sick.
Oh, no. And Dylan's about to wrap Tumwater today.
Yeah, and if he doesn't see me finish, I might get passed over for Refiner of the Quarter and miss out on my goddamn waffle party.
Yes, they're editing memories, right? It's very low tech looking.
Put in an honest day's work and not get a children's breakfast in return.
Oh, uh-oh, Irv's got claws today.
Good morning, macro data refinement.
Hi, Mr. Milchak.
This office structure, though.
Mark, could I have a word?
Okay. It's ominous.
She'd never say so, but I know a compliment about the office would just make her day.
Okay, I can compliment her office. Well, you're getting the whole layout of this building.
Nice office.
Hey, nailed it.
Yeah, the old one was better.
Okay, we lost some ground there.
You look awful. You look hungover. Have a seat.
I might be.
I have Mark S. at my desk.
These intercoms.
I mean, there should have been some notice of this. What happened?
We'd love to tell you, but unfortunately non-disclosure policy forbids. We'd be aiding an assault on Petey's privacy by you.
The way people phrase things is bizarre.
Mark S., at this time, I confer upon you the freedom to serve Kier in the advanced role of Macrodata Refinement Department Chief. Congratulations.
I guess their personalities get a little bit stilted, losing whatever piece of themselves they lose when they come in. It's a little robotic, though they were kind of joking around in the office before.
Thank you. May I have a handshake?
You didn't have to make it look so terrible for you.
Oh, and thank you to the board as well.
The board won't be contributing to this meeting vocally.
They'll just be breathing into the microphone. They contribute static. This, I feel like, I don't know, just a guess. This kind of structure, you would get a lot more done. You'd be a much more productive worker along a certain criteria of work. Very routine stuff would probably be great. Anything that requires a more human touch feels like it would fall apart. The most interesting and most important stuff, I think you can't write on a flowchart. There's a little bit of feel that goes into it that doesn't scale up. It's kind of like how in life, you know you're getting to an interesting area of a field when there's no perfect answer to your question. When the answer is just like, you have to make a choice. There's no guide, there's no tutorial, there's no posts about this question because you're like synthesizing something for the first time. It might be very useful and productive, but it also is a little bit stale, perhaps. Though that's the kind of work it seemed like they were doing at the computer. They're kind of just moving digits around.
I know you and Petey were close. He was the only one who really appreciated your humor.
Everything's fine. So I'm supposed to
And
start
I
with
guess
this.
you don't know who Petey is outside of work, right?
The trainee becomes agitated and demands to leave. Skip to page 19.
This is what we saw. Yeah, this is that interview probably. Why the table though? Why do you put her on the table?
I just love seeing you all come in like this. Go on ahead when you're ready.
Wow, a supervisor that doesn't stand over your shoulder.
Who are you?
It's funny how in the beginning of it, because it's coming out of a speaker, you think it's authoritative and someone with experience. And seeing this, like, actually, no, he's nervous as hell.
Hi there, you on the table. I wonder if you'd mind taking a brief survey?
So they're always on a table.
5 questions. Now, I know you're sleepy, but I just bet it'll make you feel right as rain.
Yeah, that does make it. Now that I think about it, it does sound like a script. Oh, God, it's right there.
But I unfortunately skipped that. Went straight into the survey.
Am I livestock?
I'm sorry?
Like, did you grow me as food and that's why I have no memories?
That's a very interesting idea to jump to. Are we lacking food?
I don't know. I don't know you.
No, you're not livestock. Good Lord.
But aren't we all livestock? If you really think about it, aren't we all just rats in a cage, man? Worker bees can leave, even drones can fly away. The queen is their slave. This is probably the exposition into the mechanics of this world.
Thank you for taking the welcome survey.
I just ditched the script,
can sense
man.
that the questions made you feel afraid or disoriented. Well, the good news is you're at an orientation.
It's so infuriating to be told someone feels something while they're reading from a script.
You see, you have been hired to a position on
It's
the
even
severed
worse
floor.
when you watch someone reading from the script.
I understand you're confused about the severance procedure. Before we
You gotta
hop on
memorize the
that,
book, man.
Let's chat about something I bet you have heard of.
As someone who's worked on script before, you gotta memorize the script. You gotta
Start,
practice it till it's
imagine
natural.
yourself as a seesaw. Ow!
You deserve that.
Fuck! That locks from out there!
Where was that going anyway? Imagine yourself as a seesaw. Oh, I think I get it. You need to jump to it, and you need to have a little bit more of a human touch, though that might be difficult. So they're all kind of robotic.
So a few years back, I woke up on this table in this room, and a disembodied voice asked me 19 times who I was.
Re-Zero, starting life off on a new conference table from zero memories. Is this better or worse than Subaru's fate? I'm not sure.
And when I realized I couldn't answer, I told that voice that I would find him and kill him.
Was that Petey? And then he became my best friend, and now he's gone.
Oh, that voice's name was Petey, and he became my best friend. So look, there is a life to be had here, Helly.
A life to be had?
Well, she presumably volunteered for this, so you need to make that clear right now. Show her some evidence of that. You're really beating around the bush here, Michael Scout.
Life.
Back to the
Like a
script.
seesaw.
The seesaw line is not landing. The seesaw line is dangerous. He was committed to the seesaw line. Overly committed.
You've asked twice to be let go. Ask one more time.
I don't think that would be approved by the bosses, but good move. You really could have explained that better, I think. Imagine waking up later with that welt on your head and be like, what the hell happened at work? Maybe something happened with him and Petey
Here's your
outside of
stairwell,
work.
just past the bend.
You're not coming with me?
It's an incinerator. You are livestock. All things considered, I think she's handling this surprisingly well. I think I'll be way, way more freaked out. I also would be asking more questions. So they can all voluntarily leave at any time. What? That wasn't what I was expecting. The illusion of choice? Are we even in the real world? That's hella confusing. Well, if they could do that much control over memories, they probably can affect perception.
Am I dead?
No.
This isn't like hell or something?
That's what I was thinking too.
Well, you did leave just now.
Yeah, it looks like it actually is really happening, but she can't conceive of it. This can't be legal.
Weaponizing office equipment on your first day. You are gonna be fun. Look, I do sympathize. I've wanted to pummel Mark myself, but
Entirely unprofessional.
the good news is there's only one part left of your orientation, which Mark can't possibly derail.
Why
Why
is
this
that?
so mean to Mark?
Because it's a video.
Hold my beer. Hold my intercom. No, I feel like I'd still be like, no. Yeah, no. I need more than this. I need more than a CD.
Are you mad at me?
For the incompetent. For the disobedience.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Well,
Yes!
And also very mad.
You know my mother was an atheist.
I'll take it. Thanks nobody asked for 5,000, Alex.
Hell, it's just the product of a morbid human imagination. The bad news is, whatever humans can imagine, they can usually create.
That's cool. That's interesting. But like, why?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. So it seems clear there's something building here between this world, which is a warped version of our world, and the concept of hell. I think her reading is an interesting one, that hell is something that humans can create. I think another twist on that is that hell is real not as a mythological place of fire and eternal damnation, as in like a physical space that you go to, but is more like a state or like a quality of life, and humans being born into the world where there is a spectrum of good and bad and pleasure and pain can intuit that and abstract it into story. I mean, just as an idea, I might even go so far as to say, you can make a religious-like argument for hell without relying on faith or religion. Just as a thought experiment, you can think of it as the existence that we live in or experience isn't completely random and arbitrary. There is some structure, some spectrum of good and bad. Even if that is only our experience, that experience enough is objective-ish to us, because we definitely experience pleasure and pain and good and bad. And we didn't create good and bad, pleasure and pain. We're born into it, and that is not disconnected from the natural structure of nature and incentive structures of nature. In other words, pleasure and pain is evidence of an incentive structure that is higher than us, and therefore something we can kind of treat as a will that is higher than us. And because we are both born from and rely on this, our feedback mechanism mechanisms. Ultimately, though, it's not always so clear in one-to-one. Reward us for the highest alignment with that and punish us for the lowest alignment with that. And so through your life, you can be on a spectrum between heaven and hell. Where the eternal part comes in is your actions, the way you lived, how close you were to either heaven or hell on that scale, is permanently etched into the DNA of time and history, as far as we know. So if your existence is a hellish one, if you don't align well with the virtues, which are the roadmap to heaven, then you are relegated to a hellish existence for all of time. The book of humanity and the universe.
A department like yours can go so good or so bad. You know, it makes a difference. The people.
Yeah, that's kind of true. People are really important. That can make all the difference. That's one of the intangibles about work. The job might sound terrible, but end up being great because you're coworkers, and vice versa. Oh yeah, we'll just prove it to you. You did this. This should have been from the beginning. They should have had this playing in the conference room when she woke up. This is just ass backwards. Hi, me.
I have, of my own free accord, elected to undergo the procedure colloquially known as severance.
Severance.
I give consent for my perceptual chronologies to be surgically...
I guess this order makes things more dramatic for the viewer.
I will be unable to access outside recollections whilst on Lumon's severed basement floor, nor retain work memories upon my ascent.
What is a severed basement floor? So they go down. That's very hellish. Irreversible. Can you quit, though? You could just stop coming back to Lumon, right?
Do I have a family?
You'll never know.
And I have no choice.
He doesn't even know.
Well, every time you find yourself here, it's because you chose to come back.
It's so weird. Yeah, you're like two people now. I think the more time goes on, the farther and farther, worse and worse it gets. You start to fragment. You become increasingly different people. And you form a new identity based on this. I mean, some of that happens in real life too, but like it all mingles typically. To severance it is weird. It's an interesting premise. If the goal is self-development though, while it will feel like you're doing half the work, in reality you're probably doing more than double because both sides are growing at less than half speed, and over time that accumulates. Each side of you only has half the data. And worse than that, one side of you only has very specific, isolated, contextualized data. Something about this reminds me of that famous thing from The Simpsons. That's a problem for future Homer. The other side of you is pretty selfish, huh? Like letting this other side of you work. I wonder if like one side of you gets resentful of the other side. Damn it, why do I do all the work and he gets to do all the playing? At some point the workers probably revolt. Maybe it's like the Matrix though, where you're like several layers deep. That door thing was just weird as hell.
Night.
I don't know what to make of that. It's more than just like memories. It seems like it's perception as well. I guess after work socials are out of the question, so there's no social benefit. Oh, they just lie. Oh, but you get a gift card to Pip's Bar and Grill. That makes it all better. Worth it. Damn, man, don't be bought up with gift cards. Don't sell your integrity for gift cards. Oh, but it's VIP, though. Pip's VIP. That's going straight in the wallet.
Hey!
Sorry.
Maybe keep your eyes on the icy road.
Yeah, you weirdo. I've never seen before. I didn't throw an intercom at. This is why we stagger exits. But like, they're working at the company that does this for other companies? It's kind of recursive, no? Maybe this is all an experiment? I don't really get this business model yet. Ideally, people would pay for this, but they seem to be working at the headquarters of that company.
Indeed, this gnat will spend much of its 3 7-day life.
Well, I want to hear more about the gnat. I think it was probably going to be a metaphor.
No, I know, Mrs. Selvig. It's just, it was in my space again.
Which is the real hell.
Trash comes tomorrow night. Tonight's recycling.
That slow, dull, ache type of hell. Okay, crying started to make a little more sense. And there's no need to like unwind and de-stress. You don't even remember.
If there's no dinner, how is it dinner?
Okay.
Like,
You actually owe me this.
do I?
Yep. You remember that time when we were kids and I was just generally a way better sibling than you?
Siblings established.
Also, I know we're nearing the anniversary, so I just thought...
Oh, man, that's why I was crying.
This is nice. When did you get it?
It's from work. I apologize.
And they gave me a VIP gift card to Pibs. Oh, so you know. Do we all know?
Got a gift card.
That's what I'm saying. You want a Pibs?
Pips.
Pips.
Of course it's Pips. Well, enjoy.
What do you mean Pips is the best? Everyone loves Pips. It's not just Pips, it's Pips VIP, which I will enjoy by myself. This is the weirdest isekai, I swear to God. This is such a strange intro. It's so understated. There's a lot of intrigue building. It's a very interesting premise. Imagine isekaiing into office life.
You know, what a lot of people overlook, I think, is that life is not food.
Right.
You've got life, this complex quality of sentience and activity. And
I don't like it. Just admit that you don't want to buy food.
Rickon told Rebecca and me that you're a former history professor.
Yeah.
So I'm curious.
Ironic.
Your take on all of this? The food, the life of it.
I'm not really getting this concept. What are we doing? So we're not eating? This is in fact a dinner with no food? I guess. Trying to understand what this is. This is another example of someone trying to separate two things that probably should be together. We're so desperate to shed the biological underpinnings of our life because it's unpalatable to us without seeing both the beauty of it and also the fact that there is no one without the other. It's the same thing. You can't just isolate variables in complex systems. There's interplay. There's feedback.
He said that the people actually called it the Great War. Apparently, it would have been a faux pas to have called it World War I.
All right.
Great, I think, meaning big there.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know.
Well, we didn't know there's a second one.
World War I, because World War II had.
Right, why would you put numbers on it?
Of course.
That's absolutely
Duh.
That's so true.
Oh, this is stifling. This is suffocating. This I won't even call it dinner.
So you know all the dirty secrets.
Not really.
Well, Mark's work is sensitive enough as to require the severance procedure.
So he actually knows nothing.
I mean, I wish I could do it. I'd just always be thinking about, the other one.
Yeah.
Well, there is no other one.
Well, there sort of is, though.
Well, it's simple. One's memories are bifurcated, so when you're not at work, you have no recollection of what it is you do there. Did I get that right, Mark?
Right, even without the memories,
So you
it would
walk
stabilize
at
because the
9
memories of the new self build.
So in effect, that version of you is trapped there.
Well,
I mean, not trapped, but
But what? No, I'm curious what were you going to say. But not trapped, but what?
This would lead to some really interesting discussions.
So I suppose we know where you fall in the congressional goings-on.
No need to make this political.
the point is that Mark made a decision, and that decision was controversial, ethically and socially.
I'm kind of relieved to hear that.
I stand behind you without reservation.
So well said.
Thank you.
absolutely.
That's
I
sweet.
definitely stand behind Mark.
That's
Wow.
nice. I need to find out more about this first.
Well, we're at the point where traditionally I would say something like dig in.
Enjoy your
But I must
water.
say, I do think that the lack of food has allowed us to already do so on a much deeper level.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was saying my friend in Lima hasn't had a food-based dinner event in.
Yeah, it's time to eat now.
I'm proud of you for taking that job. I really am. And I think she.
How much
would've
does
been
it
too,
pay?
she would've been.
What's the goal that it leads to? Like, what's
Forgetting about
it's a
her
sacrifice,
for 8
but
hours a day isn't the same thing as healing.
oh, okay, right. It is what I was saying. Actually, the work is the paradise because you get to shed your memories.
I'm making all the bed sheets myself, so I won't finish with the big one for some time. But the twin is comfortable, and the pajamas were made on a Baltic hand loom.
Thank God. I only sleep in pajamas made on a Baltic hand loom.
Oh, Rickon's colleague told us that switching out the beds as the child grows can wound that child.
Irreparably. But if you provide said child with all of its beds upon birth, you allow it to progress across the room at its own rate.
Okay, there's got to be a common thread here between this and the main thing. Very big picture. It's not looking at things holistically and systemically. It's like looking at a large picture and thinking that each element in that thing is a discrete unit. So the good things you have, the things you like, those are completely independent from the bad things that you don't like and want to avoid. Not realizing that there is interplay between them and they all rely on each other. It's like, well, this is all good. This is bad. Let's just take that out. Not realizing that the bad things that persist are often just the costs because everything has a cost. Our world is a finite one. It's equivalent exchange. You cannot gain something unless something is lost. Sometimes that loss is outsized and unnecessary. So that is a useful avenue of exploration. The question is, what are you buying? What are you paying for? What does that cost get you? There's a reason we experience pain. It has a utility. It's information. Is there something you can do with that information? If there's nothing that can be done with it, is it something you can maybe find a way to replace with something better? Maybe it's mindset. Maybe it's something that needs to be done. The goal is not necessarily a state where you have all the material things you want. You want them to be earned. And we know this already because there are plenty of things we already have that are amazing that just don't make us happy and bring us no fulfillment. development, because it's probably not about the point, it's about the direction and the development and the tactile feel of one's character and life and growth. You want the climb, you want the knowledge of self, you want the adventure. We've done a really good job handling the material side. That creates a problem though, because before, the meaning of our lives and the struggle and the climb and the adventure was dictated by the quest for those material resources. And now that it's so abundant, we've lost that natural course, that natural guide that gives us a scale of where we are in terms of our character. Maybe combined with the fact that we've over fixated on the material element and lost the idea that we are creatures designed for a purpose, that we need some struggle, we need something to aspire to, and we need to see our own development, and we need to have something to believe in. We need to have a feeling of upward trajectory, embracing nihilism or things of less significance that give life meaning, like arguing about politics, drama in our personal lives, deluding ourselves into thinking that if we solve the material, we can solve the spiritual. And then it seems like we continuously just double down on that without taking feedback that that's not working. My child will be traumatized by having to change beds, so let's just eliminate any possible things that could ever traumatize my child, any difficulties they might have to face, any growing up they have to do. When the solution might be the opposite. It might be, maybe you should embrace struggle, but like the right kind of struggle. On a meta skill level, maybe one of the best things you can do for your own growth is to learn how to handle, overcome, and navigate difficulty. Do you want to live in a nerfed world where no matter what you do, good or bad, your praise is perfect? We know this is not the case. A lot of us have been told since birth that we're perfect the way we are. Well, then why don't we feel perfect? Why aren't we all living our lives in a state of bliss as, you know, these perfect creatures that we are? We're only told about the rewards and we're not told about the adventure. We're taught about our worth, but not about our responsibility. And you want that because that is your destiny. That's your adventure. You don't want to suddenly wake up and already be holding a sword and having killed the dragon and saved the princess and everyone's clapping for you with no memory of what you've done and no lessons that you've learned and no feeling of accomplishment. You might initially feel pleased, but long-term would just feel completely empty and disoriented. Looking back, maybe the cattle comment was accurate. You're just livestock being fattened up waiting to be slaughtered.
I think people really enjoyed you tonight, Mark.
Wish I could say the same.
Good night, my lord.
Good night, milady.
God, I can't wait to get back to the office. This is terrible. This is truly hell. My man about to put in overtime. Take the pain. Take the pain, Mark. Chew glass. Spit out diamonds. Burn it all to the ground. Oh no, you're not supposed to be here. Oh wait, I thought it was John Turturro. Who the hell is that? Oh, it's Petey. Is it Petey? What has Petey done? Petey's done something very bad. The intrigue continues to build. I hope there's a direction for the show. I hope it's all planned out. I hope it's not a mystery box.
Well, there's a bar down the hill. It's probably just a stumbler. Speaking of which, you still smell like a distillery.
I'm sorry. I just had to drown out the memory of Mom and Dad switching out my beds when we were kids.
You've been sitting on that one.
It's absurd. There's this interesting idea of anti-fragility where certain complex systems actually benefit from stress. They are meant to be stressed. An example is your immune system. I can't speak to the accuracy of this, but just as an example of this pattern, I've heard that kids who are allowed to play freely in less sterile environments, like playing outside in the grass or whatever, end up with stronger immune systems down the road because they're exposed to more non-lethal pathogens. In those systems, as long as there's no game over event, as long as there's not something that overwhelms the system and destroys you, the stress leads to increased strength and resilience later on. And I think humans are anti-fragile creatures. It doesn't mean that all pain is good. I mean, some pain actually is chronic and is kind of a gap down in growth. But an example of a good type of pain would just be like working hard at something, experiencing not having things go your way all the time and being able to recover from that. Getting feedback from the world so that your expectations about what is end up being more mapped with reality instead of always being disappointed and feeling slighted. Making a lot of controlled mistakes so you can get your finger on the pulse. I kind of hate this idea that I'm this fragile creature that has to be protected all the time. These days, I think, is with information. I feel a growing sentiment that the truth has to be controlled because there's a certain number of people that can't handle the truth and will go on to do terrible things with that truth. But I feel like on net, that makes things so much worse because one, first of all, who gets to decide? And two, you're weakening the process of truth processing. So people get increasingly weaker. They become increasingly reliant, increasingly more what you fear they were in the first place. It's like the parent that tries to protect their child from all disease by keeping them in a sterile room, making them more vulnerable as adults to pathogens that would be harmless to anyone else. Just change your kid's freaking bed, lady. Yeah, we made it to Pips. See, life isn't so bad. The VIP area. Are you winning, son?
Tonight's garbage, and you keep putting your bin on my side. So, yeah, okay. You know, I actually can't talk right now. I'm out at dinner.
And he actually is by himself. I hate that I was right about that.
Excuse me.
Oh, hey, Petey.
I'm sorry.
I'm on a very important call right now about the recycling bin.
Hi, kids. What's for dinner?
I don't know what that means. Or do I? How much? There's no interplay? How strong is that block?
Your voice is different here.
Mmm.
Worse.
Yeah, work is where I'm free.
Who the fuck are you?
Petey.
I don't know who Petey is.
My name's Petey. I'm from work.
I got out.
Severed.
Yeah.
I was.
So did he get reconnected? Did he get unseveranced?
Bypassing the implant was
He figured it out. I wonder what kind of damage that did at first. What do you want, Petey? What do you got for us? What do you know? You're jeopardizing my job, and I really need my job because I can't stand my normal life.
You've unsevered, and now you... Do I think they're after you or something?
Yeah.
And you chose to approach me?
Nothing. Down there is what they say.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
If something happens to me, the things I know need to stay known.
Can you not go to the newspaper or the internet or police or...
I'm your best friend.
There is a way to
You're
do
my very
this.
good friend.
You maybe would be hard with security, but this Mark decides to pass the envelope and the information, maybe a little journal entry, to Work Mark, because Work Mark will be able to contextualize it and make sense of it. Probably. More than this. Even this situation, suddenly he has something to do and less to cry about.
Mark, sorry about the card.
I had to disguise it.
I had to grab something and I know it's not appropriate. Though I'm sure you'd be a really fucking awesome
I like how we had time for the niece joke in this really serious situation.
What kind of men we were on the outside. What choices we had made. And why?
And the answer was truly disappointing. I am the type of man who spends most of his social interactions arguing about the recycling.
To put someone in a place like that office.
Well, you probably did it.
Especially if the person was himself.
Not a monster, just maybe weak and afraid.
But we're not monsters, Mark.
Very normal, very human. Maybe they are like anime supervillains and they're just trying to eliminate all pain from the world in that classic villain way.
And you'll find the beginning of a very long answer.
Here we go. The adventure has begun. This is the call of the hero. Call of the weak, alcoholic, somewhat sad boy hero.
Mark, is that you?
Oh, hi, Mrs. Selvig.
The legend herself, Mrs. Selvig.
For the mix-up with the bin.
It's the lady. It's the boss.
You know my mother was a Catholic. She used to say it takes the saints 8 hours
Yeah, I've heard that your mother's a
sleeping child.
Catholic. Tell me more about how your mother's a
I
Catholic.
hope you aren't rushing the saints.
Wait a minute. Didn't you say her mother was an atheist? Her mother's whatever is convenient for her at the time being, based on what she wants to say. Feels like code.
You're good people.
Out here, you like me? Miss Selvig also I thought was disconnected or severanced, but now it also seems like she might be spying on him. Okay. I don't know about you, Mrs. Selvig. Oh, it's directed by Ben Stiller? Damn, I didn't know that. Okay, that was very, very understated first episode, but what's really cool about it is it does such a great job conveying the idea that there are so many layers to this. It's not just in the plot, it's not just going to be like Escape the Office, Adam's Scout Edition. We don't know how deep this rabbit hole really goes, and also, I feel very tangibly the emotional significance and also perhaps the commentary on the world. It's not just a premise. It's not a novel idea that acts as a shell of a story. It feels to me like there's something very significant at root that probably is very topical. That also arises a little bit of a fear because of shows like, Lost and I think Westworld, where you get the feeling early on that that's the case, and then it turns out there really just wasn't any vision, the so-called mystery box approach. But it feels tight enough, it feels interesting enough and connected enough and cohesive enough that I am tempted to believe there's a full story here, though I've been fooled before. I mean, like, even just this, so many things are connected. Like, the dinner is connected to the office, is connected to the premise, is connected to the atrocious children bedtime strategy. There's a running idea there of like the dual elements of human experience and trying to improve things by deleting one without realizing that often those very things are intrinsic to the things you're looking for, to the goal itself, to the things of beauty. Approaching it on that hell-heaven spectrum, hell and heaven don't map to pleasure and pain. Heaven and hell probably map more to living in virtue versus living in sin. And I don't mean virtue and sin as dictated by a religious body, but as like, what are the practices that most reliably lead or most consistently deviate from those that align best with and bring one closest to the emergent qualities or aspirations of our existence itself. So like heaven could even be painful and hell could be pleasurable. Drinking oneself into oblivion feels good in the moment, but is probably not a virtuous activity if done in excess or done as an escape from the pain. Shutting a part of one's brain off for a certain number of hours a day to not experience pain instead of facing the pain pain feels like a false salvation. Like I said, one of those slow, burning, dull ache hells.